see what I've got going on under here because it's obviously different every day, every tour, which is really cool. So yeah, we do call this Shark Lagoon, and that is because we have a whole bunch of sharks in here. We got 18 to be exact. Now the most common we have in here. Oh wait, have you been through the tunnel? I should have asked you that first. Or is this your first stop?
I had to come here because it was already 5 o'clock.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, this is actually your better first stop because everything here is like, you know, actual size. When you go in the tunnel, it shrinks everything down because, like by 20% because of that curved glass. So this is actually your best first stop. So this is one of our female sand tigers. Now, so like I said, we've got 12 of these guys. But when you go into the tunnel, they're the scary looking ones with all the crazy teeth. But they're not trying to look mean, it's just they actually can't close their mouth because they have more teeth than room. So they don't mean to look that way. Basically the reason they have crazy teeth where everybody else looks kind of normal is they're just kind of slow and they need a little extra help. When you watch them swim by, you'll realize, wow, these guys are really a little bit clumsy and a little bit slow. So that's our male sawfish, by the way. That is Diesel. He hates the boat. That's probably the best we'll see of him. But the female loves the boat. But anyway, having your teeth like that, if you're a sand tiger, it helps you hold on to your prey. So, because the prey is very fast, you know, so they can't, so they basically just need a little extra hand. So all those teeth, it's like having a barbecue fork stuck on your face. You know, it's hard to get away. Because all these other sharks, they still have a whole lot of teeth. It's just they're fast enough, they don't need the extra help. So that's kind of why they look like that. And the reason they all have their mouths open, by the way, is because they can't breathe without it. So all their mouths are always open. They're not trying to look scary. But they basically have to keep the mouth open to let the water kind of go in and then out the gills. That's how they, you know, get their oxygen. So, and in fact, hopefully we'll see. It's usually at the dock that we see the sleepers, but these guys actually have to swim even when they sleep or they drown because they can't get the oxygen. The gills would just collapse if they stop. So they've got to swim forward their whole lives, with the exception of, hey, they're still out. Woo! These guys. So these are nurse sharks. So obviously they're not having any problem, just lying there. So they're the exception to the rule. And mostly, if you'll notice, and you'll see it better when we turn the corner and the light hits their heads, but their head is way different shaped than all the sharks. And it's because they have these huge, there we go. So here's a sand tiger, right? And you'll just notice he's kind of like a torpedo shape, right? And those gills are just sort of passively flapping, almost like little flags, because there's no muscle under there. So they just flap. But when you see these guys, you're going to notice their gills are actually pumping, just in and out, almost like your own lungs. You know, they can suck water in and push it out and breathe. But when we get over the head, you're going to notice it takes a lot of work. And actually, they sleep most of the day, and I think it's just because they're trying to breathe. So yeah, it takes a lot of work on these guys. Yeah, there's one that's almost asleep. Now, the way you can tell is they start slowing down. He's basically coming into a stop, and then the only thing moving is going to be the tail. So, oh no, we're just waking up is what we're doing. So like the slower they're going, the deeper the sleep. So eventually you can, here's one that's almost completely out. I like to call her Curly Q because it looks like someone took a curling iron to her pectoral fins. Do you notice her little curls? See, look at her little fins.
Oh, I never noticed.
Isn't that cute? I don't know, there's something about her that's just kind of cute. I think it's the little curls, but so yeah, you can notice that those gills are just kind of doing that, and she's almost completely asleep. So most of her brain is out, except for the part that says the tail needs to move, and the part that keeps her sonar working, so she didn't, you know, just bump into something, but everything else is out. Now the nurse shark, though, again, you can see them really pumping those gills. Now these guys are big time snugglers, and I really mean that. I'm not making that up. These guys do it in the wild too. They'll snuggle in groups of 20 or 30, just like puppies. I mean, they're really cute. They're sweet little sharks. They're very docile. They're not, you know, not known for ever really, I mean, they can bite, but they're not really, they'd rather you pet on them. I mean, they're very, very easily tameable. But what they'll do is you'll notice they've got their heads like stuck up underneath that because they're nocturnal, and so basically they're just hiding their eyes from the light. So Now this is Miss Lucy. So like I said, the Diesel hates the boat. Obviously, she does not mind the boat. Now she is the largest animal, one of the largest animals we've got by weight. She outweighs the male, even though she's a lot shorter than he is, but she outweighs him by like 100 and some odd pounds. So she really does look a whole lot bigger. And so when you go through the tunnel, you'll notice this is where she'll normally hang out. This is the exit. And then when you get the entrance, that's where he normally hangs out. But these guys are really, really critically endangered. So these guys are going to be extinct in the wild, and sadly. But we are trying really, really hard to breed them in captivity. Just so we'll at least have, you know, someone in captivity, so they'll at least be on the planet. But at last count, when they tried to count them in the wild, they couldn't find enough to consider them that they'll even recover. So they're considered a lost cause out in the wild. In about 15 years, they'll be extinct. So we really want to at least have them in captivity. Now that fish down there, that's a tarpon, that black and silver. And they do hang out by the dock too, so you'll probably get a good view of them. We have them because they're actually prehistoric, and you'll really be able to tell if they're down there by the dock. They still looking. I mean, they've got like giant. I love looking at them from the sides because their scales are like that big, and like they look like tiny mirrors. They're beautiful fish. They're really, really cool. So you'll notice as we get a little closer to the boat, the Shipwreck, everybody's a little bit smaller, and that's because these are the babies. These guys are all born here. And it's because of that ship, actually. As we go over the ship, you'll notice, well, probably, if they're still hanging out there, there's a lot of, there's holes that they built into it, and there's a big shelf, and basically just to give the fish a lot of hidey holes so that they, you know, can feel safe if they need to. But what they'll do also is when they lay their eggs, they'll lay them in there because they know that's like home base. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, this becomes a nursery. So when they hatch, you know, they're all of that big, so they're tiny. They know, all right, we need to stay in here until we're a little bigger. And so they'll stay in here in the dark spaces where you can't see them for generally maybe a year, you know, until they're a little bit bigger and they're a little more confident. You see, all these are how they're taking advantage of the dark. Every once in a while you'll see an angel, a huge emperor angel, use that hole. He likes to hang out in the hole, but I don't see him right now. But so yeah, then once they've gotten a little bit bigger, they're not quite brave enough to leave altogether, so they join the nursery school. That's here. So you'll notice, like at the very, very bottom, everybody, that's the itty bittiest ones. So, you know, until they feel a little bit more confident, they're going to stay way down on the bottom. And then, see, if you notice, you get a little bit more shallow. Everybody's a little bit bigger. It's just because they got a little more confident. There's a sleeper. Yeah, there's one of my tarpon. I love them. I love it when they make all the fish scatter like that. I just think it's really fun. They just come right back. But they just know if I need to get near the boat, that's where I'll go. And so they just kind of hang out here. Now, they see that fish down there that looks dead? Mm-hmm. It's not dead. So I always want to point that out, especially since you haven't been through the tunnel, because there's a lot down there. And so people think we've got dead fish down here, and it's like, no, dude, we've got 18 sharks. Nobody has time to just die. The shark's going to take care of that. But no, what he's doing is he's playing dead. So, and there's a few at the entrance, and there's a really big one, actually. Those are grouper. And they'll even like flop over on their side, and I mean they really do look dead, but they're not. They're just playing dead. And what they're doing is they're just waiting for one of the little guys to just go, I don't have to worry about that. That's a dead fish, and get close enough for him to nab for a free meal. So they're pretty smart. Now, obviously, we don't, we feed these fish. I mean, they're not hungry, so they're not really interested in hunting, but they still have wild behavior like that. So that's pretty cool. And we also really overfeed the sharks, and that's how we've got everybody hanging out. You know, if you've got your sharks' bellies full all the time, they just want to go to sleep. You know, they're not interested in just eating and eating and eating like you think from Hollywood. Once their bellies are full, they